The research vessel drifted through the cold darkness of space like a wounded animal. Its name was the Gentle Whisper, and it belonged to the Volani people. Once it had been a beautiful ship, sleek and silver, built for science and exploration. Now it was broken. 3 large holes had been torn through its hull. Smoke drifted from its engines. The lights inside flickered on and off. Captain Zathora stood at the center of the command room and tried to stay calm. She was tall and thin, with skin covered in small scales that changed color with her emotions. Right now, those scales were a pale gray, the color of fear. She had 4 arms, and all of them were shaking. Around her, the surviving members of her crew worked at damaged control panels. Some were injured. All were afraid. The air was getting thin. The ship's systems were failing one by one. 6 hours ago, the Harkin had come. The Harkin were monsters. Everyone in the galaxy knew about them. They were slavers, raiders, killers. They traveled in packs, attacking weak ships and defenseless colonies. They took what they wanted and destroyed the rest. No one fought back against the Harkin. No one could. Zathora closed her eyes and remembered. The Harkin ships had appeared without warning, surrounding the Gentle Whisper before anyone could react. They had used weapons that cut through the hull like paper. Then they had boarded. The Harkin themselves were terrible to look at. Huge creatures, twice the size of a Volani, covered in thick armor-like skin. Their faces were flat and cruel, with small eyes that showed no mercy. They had grabbed crew members and dragged them away screaming. 17 people, friends, colleagues, gone. Then the Harkin had taken the fuel cells and medical supplies, and they had left. Just like that. As if the Volani were nothing. As if their lives meant nothing. Now the Gentle Whisper was dying, and Zathora had to make a choice. "Captain," said Kethryn, her navigator. He was young and scared, his scales flickering between gray and white. "Life support will fail in approximately 6 hours. We cannot repair the engines. We cannot call for help using normal channels. The communications array is too damaged." "I know," Zathora said quietly. "What do we do?" Zathora looked at the emergency panel on the wall. There was a button there, covered by a protective case, the Universal Distress Beacon. It broadcast on all frequencies to anyone who might be listening. It was meant for desperate situations, when you needed help from anyone at all. The problem was that anyone might answer. The beacon did not care if the responder was friend or enemy. It simply called out into the void and hoped. "We have no choice," Zathora said. She walked to the panel and broke the protective case. Her finger hovered over the button. "We send the universal distress call. We pray that allies receive it before enemies do." She pressed the button. The signal went out into space, traveling at the speed of light in all directions. It carried a simple message. "Help us. We are dying. Please come." Far away in a region of space that no Volani had ever explored, something heard the call. The human battlecruiser Burning Resolve was 3 days away from the Gentle Whisper when the distress signal arrived. It was a massive ship, built for war. Its hull was thick and scarred from many battles. Weapons covered every surface. It moved through space like a predator, powerful and dangerous. Inside the ship, Communications Officer Katie Moore was working the night shift. She was 28 years old, with short brown hair and tired eyes. The shift had been quiet, nothing but routine reports and empty space. Then her console beeped. Katie sat up straight and looked at the screen. An incoming transmission. Unknown origin, unknown language. Her computer worked quickly, translating the alien words into something she could understand. "Any Allied vessel, we are in critical distress. Please respond." Katie's heart began to beat faster. She read the message again. Then she pressed the intercom button. "Commander Drake to the bridge. Priority 1. Sir, you need to see this." Commander Nathan Drake arrived 5 minutes later, still pulling on his uniform jacket. He was 42 years old, a veteran of many battles. His face was hard, lined with scars, but his eyes were sharp and intelligent. He walked to Katie's station and read the translated message. "Alien origin," he said. It was not a question. "Yes, sir. First confirmed contact with an intelligent alien species. They're in trouble. Their ship has been attacked." Humanity had been traveling through space for 60 years. They had found evidence of other civilizations, abandoned stations, ancient signals, but they had never met a living alien species. Until now. "Location?" Drake asked. 3 days away at maximum speed. Unclaimed space. "Any information about who attacked them?" "Negative, sir. Just that they need help." Drake nodded slowly. He thought about regulations, about protocols, about the risks of rushing into unknown territory. Then he thought about the message. "Help us. We are dying." "Plot an intercept course," he said. "Maximum speed." "Yes, sir." Katie began entering commands. Then she paused. "Sir, shouldn't we wait for orders from command? This is first contact. There are procedures." "There are people dying," Drake said simply. "Procedures can wait. Wake Colonel Martinez. Tell her to have her Marines ready for anything." Colonel Lisa Martinez commanded the 400 Marines aboard the burning Resolve. She was a small woman, compact and muscular, with close-cropped black hair and eyes that had seen too much death. When Drake explained the situation, she simply nodded. "Rules of engagement?" she asked. "Unknown," Drake admitted. "We don't know who these people are. We don't know who attacked them. We go in ready for a fight, but hoping for peace." Martinez smiled. It was not a warm smile. "I'm always ready for a fight, Commander. I know. That's why I need you." The burning Resolve changed course. Its engines roared with power, pushing the massive ship through space at incredible speed. Inside, crew members prepared for the unknown. Marines checked their weapons. Medics organized their supplies. Everyone felt the tension, the excitement, the fear. Somewhere ahead of them, an alien ship was dying. An alien crew was praying for help. They had no idea that the creatures coming to save them were humans. They had no idea what humans were capable of. They had no idea that their simple distress call was about to change the entire galaxy. The message had been meant for allies. It had called something far more dangerous. Something that the galaxy had never seen before. A species born on a world of constant danger. Shaped by millions of years of evolution and warfare. Driven by a strange and powerful sense of justice. The humans were coming. And nothing would ever be the same. 3 days passed slowly aboard the Gentle Whisper. The air grew thin. The lights grew dim. The survivors huddled together in the least damaged sections of the ship, sharing body heat and hope. Some prayed to their gods. Others simply waited for death. Captain Zethora refused to give up. She moved among her crew, speaking words of comfort, checking on the wounded, helping with repairs that she knew were useless. The ship was dying. Everyone knew it. But she would not let them see her despair. "Captain," Catherine called from his station. His voice was strange. "Something is coming." Zethora hurried to the navigation console. The screen showed a single object approaching at incredible speed. It was large, very large, and it was coming directly toward them. "Is it Harkin?" she asked, her scales turning pale again. "No, the energy signature is completely unknown. I have never seen anything like it." They waited. The object grew closer. Soon it was visible through the viewport. And when Zethora saw it, she felt her blood turn to ice. The approaching ship was a monster. It was enormous, bigger than any vessel she had ever seen. Its shape was harsh and angular, with no curves or gentle lines. Weapons covered its surface, like spines on a dangerous animal. Its hull was dark and scarred, marked by old battles. It moved through space with a predator's confidence. "What is that?" whispered Catherine. "I do not know," Zethora said. Her hearts were beating very fast. But it is not Harkin. It is not Marathi. It is not Consortium. Then what is it? Before she could answer, the communications panel crackled to life. A voice emerged, deep and controlled, speaking words that the universal translators struggled to process. Valani vessel, gentle whisper. This is Commander Nathan Drake of the Earthship Burning Resolve. We received your distress signal. We are here to assist. Please confirm your status. Earth. Zethora had never heard of Earth. The word meant nothing to her. But the voice sounded calm, professional, and somehow trustworthy. She made a decision. Earth vessel, she replied, her voice trembling slightly. This is Captain Zethora. We are grateful for your response. Our ship was attacked by Harkin raiders. We have wounded crew members. Our engines are failing. We have perhaps 6 hours of life support remaining. There was a short pause. Then the voice spoke again. Understood, Captain. We are sending a boarding party to assist with repairs and medical aid. Can you provide atmospheric requirements for your species? Zethora blinked in surprise. They wanted to help. These unknown creatures, these strangers from a place called Earth, wanted to help. She provided the information quickly, explaining that her species breathed oxygen and needed certain temperatures to survive. Compatible enough, the human said. Our team will be there in 20 minutes. Do not be alarmed. We mean you no harm. 20 minutes later, the first human set foot on an alien vessel. His name was Danny Ortega. He was 23 years old, born in a place called Arizona, on a planet called Earth. He had been a Marine for 4 years, trained to fight and kill. But right now, as he stepped through the airlock of the Gentle Whisper, he was trying very hard to look friendly. The aliens were waiting for him. They were beautiful, he realized, in a strange and wonderful way. Tall and thin, with 4 arms and scales that shifted colors like living rainbows. Their eyes were large and expressive, filled with fear and hope and confusion. Easy, Danny said, holding up his hands. We are here to help. Medical team is right behind me. The alien leader approached him slowly. She moved with grace, despite her obvious fear. Her 4 arms made a gesture that he assumed was a greeting. You are human? She asked. Yes, ma'am. Private First Class Danny Ortega, at your service. We do not know your species. You are not in any database we possess. Danny smiled. Yeah, we're kind of new to this whole space thing. Only been out here for about 60 years. But we are good at fixing things, and fighting things, if it comes to that. Behind him, more humans were entering the ship. Medics carrying equipment, engineers with tools, Marines with weapons, watching for danger. They moved with efficiency and purpose, spreading through the damaged vessel like water filling cracks. Captain Zethora watched them work, and felt something she had not felt in days. Hope. The human medics were gentle with the wounded Valani. They used strange devices to scan injuries and apply treatments. They spoke softly, offering comfort in their alien language. One of them, a young female with yellow hair, held the hand of a dying crew member and whispered words that the universal translator could not capture. The engineers were equally impressive. They moved through the ship with confidence, identifying problems and implementing solutions. Within an hour, they had stabilized life support. Within 2 hours, they had restored partial power to the engines. Your people are very skilled, Zethora said to Danny. Thank you, ma'am. We have a lot of experience with broken things. He paused. Captain, I need to ask you something. The raiders who attacked you, the Harkin, are they still in the area? No. They departed after taking what they wanted. And what did they take? Zethora's scales turned a deep, painful blue, the color of grief. They took 17 members of my crew as slaves. Danny's expression changed. The easy smile vanished from his face. His eyes became hard and cold, and for a moment, Zethora saw something frightening in him, something predatory. Where did they go? He asked. To their fortress, in the Nerith cluster. It is heavily defended. No one has ever successfully attacked it. Danny nodded slowly. Then he touched a device on his wrist. Ortega to Commander Drake. Sir, we have a situation. The hostiles took prisoners, 17 Villani. They are being held at a Harkin fortress in the Nerith cluster. There was a pause. Then Drake's voice crackled through the device. Understood. Get what information you can. We will discuss next steps when you return. The communication ended. Danny looked at Zethora. His face was serious but kind. Captain, can you tell me everything you know about these Harkin? Their ships, their weapons, their base? Anything might help. Help with what? With getting your people back. Zethora stared at him. She could not believe what she was hearing. You cannot be serious. The Harkin are the most feared raiders in this region of space. They have hundreds of ships, thousands of warriors. Your vessel, impressive as it is only one ship. Danny smiled again. But this time, it was a different kind of smile. Dangerous, confident. Ma'am, with all respect, you do not know what humans are capable of. We come from a world that tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. We survived. We learned to fight back against everything our planet threw at us. Predators, disasters, diseases, each other. He leaned closer. There is nothing in this galaxy that scares us. Not anymore. The Harkin have never been defeated. Then they have never fought humans. Zethora looked at this small, strange creature from a world she had never heard of. He was soft and weak compared to the armored Harkin. He had only 2 arms. His body was fragile and unprotected. By all logic, he should be afraid. But he was not afraid. None of the humans were afraid. They moved through her broken ship with the confidence of beings who had never learned to accept defeat. And slowly, impossibly, Zethora began to believe that maybe, just maybe, they could do what they claimed. Maybe they could save her people. Maybe they could fight the Harkin and win. The humans were strange. They were unknown. They were terrifying in their own way. But right now, they were exactly what she needed. The conference room aboard the Burning Resolve was a cold, functional space. Metal walls, hard chairs, a large table covered with screens and maps. Commander Nathan Drake sat at the head of the table, his face unreadable. Colonel Lisa Martinez sat across from him, studying the information displayed on the screens. Captain Zethora stood at the far end of the room, feeling very small and very afraid. She had come aboard the human ship at their invitation to share what she knew about the Harkin. Now she was surrounded by creatures she did not understand, in a vessel designed for war. Tell us everything, Drake said. His voice was calm but commanding. Start with the basics. What are the Harkin? Zethora gathered her thoughts. The Harkin are an ancient species. They have existed for thousands of years. Their entire civilization is built on slavery and conquest. They raid weaker species, taking prisoners to sell or use as labor. They destroy anyone who resists. How many ships do they have? In this region, reports suggest between 40 and 60 combat vessels, plus support ships. Their main base is a fortress station in the Nerith cluster. It has been there for 3,000 years. No one has ever successfully attacked it. Martinez leaned forward. Crew complement per ship. Approximately 300 warriors each. Martinez did the calculation quickly. So, we are looking at 12 to 18,000 hostile combatants, plus whatever forces are stationed at the base itself. Yes, the fortress probably holds another 10,000. Drake and Martinez exchanged a look. The Burning Resolve carried 400 Marines and 600 crew members. They were outnumbered by more than 20 to 1. What about their technology? Drake asked. Weapons, shields, armor? Zethora provided what data she had. The Harkin used plasma-based weapons that could burn through most materials. Their ships had strong electromagnetic shields. Their warriors wore heavy armor that was difficult to penetrate. They were fast, brutal, and utterly without mercy. They have never lost a significant battle, she concluded. Every species that has challenged them has been destroyed or enslaved. The galaxy has learned to fear them. Most simply pay tribute and hope to be left alone. There was silence in the room. Drake tapped his fingers on the table, thinking. Martinez studied the star maps, her eyes calculating distances and angles. It's impossible, Zathora said quietly. I am grateful for your help with my ship. Truly grateful. But attacking the Harkin fortress, you would be throwing away your lives. Drake looked at her. His expression was strange, almost amused. Captain, where we come from, there is a saying, no one gets left behind. That makes this our problem now. But why? You do not know us. We are strangers to you. Why would you risk everything for people you have never met? It was Martinez who answered. She stood up from her chair and walked to the viewport, looking out at the stars. Because that is who we are, she said. Humans have been fighting for as long as we have existed. We fought predators. We fought each other. We fought our own planet, which tried to kill us with ice ages, plagues, disasters. We survived because we learned to work together, to protect each other. She turned to face Zathora. When we see someone being hurt, being enslaved, being treated like property, something inside us breaks. We cannot walk away. We are physically incapable of it. Even if it means death? Especially then. The willingness to die for something bigger than yourself, that is what makes us human. Zathora struggled to understand. They avoided conflict whenever possible. The idea of rushing toward danger, of embracing death for strangers, was alien to her in every sense of the word. You are insane, she said finally. Drake smiled. Probably. But we are also very good at what we do. He stood up and walked to the main display. With a few commands, he brought up a detailed image of the Harkin fortress. It was massive, bristling with weapons, surrounded by defense platforms and patrol ships. Here is what I am thinking, he said. We cannot win a straight-up fight against their entire fleet. They have the numbers advantage. But the Harkin have never faced a species like us. They rely on fear and overwhelming force. They are used to enemies who run or surrender. We do neither, Martinez said. Exactly. We hit them hard and fast. We cause chaos. While their fleet is scrambling to respond, we send in the Marines to extract the prisoners. And how do we hit them hard enough? Zathora asked. Drake grinned. It was a predator's grin, full of teeth and confidence. Captain, have you ever heard of kinetic bombardment? She shook her head. It is very simple. You take a piece of metal, you accelerate it to a significant fraction of light speed. Then you point it at something you want to destroy. He paused. The burning resolve carries 48 kinetic impactors. Each one hits with the force of a small nuclear weapon. Zathora felt her scales turn white. That is terrifying. Yes it is. Martinez moved to another console. We will need a distraction. Something to draw their attention while the ground team moves in. I am thinking we go straight down their throat. Make them focus on us. That will put the ship in danger, Drake said. The ship is always in danger. That is what it is built for. They continued planning for hours. Danny Ortega joined them, along with other senior officers. They discussed approach vectors, attack patterns, extraction routes. They studied the fortress layout and identified likely locations where prisoners would be held. Zathora watched in amazement. These humans talked about impossible odds and suicide missions with the same casual tone that her people used to discuss weather patterns. They laughed at danger. They made jokes about death. They seemed genuinely excited about the battle to come. You truly believe you can win, she said at last. Drake looked at her. His eyes were steady and certain. Captain, let me tell you something about Earth. Our planet is what scientists call a death world. High gravity, extreme temperatures, poisonous plants and deadly animals everywhere. Diseases that kill millions. Natural disasters that reshape continents. We evolved in an environment that was actively trying to murder us. And you survived. We did more than survive. We conquered. Every predator that hunted us, we hunted back. Every disease that killed us, we found cures. Every challenge our planet threw at us, we overcame. He leaned forward. The Harkin think they are dangerous? They have no idea what dangerous means. They have never met something that climbed out of the hell that made humanity. The planning continued. Finally, as the meeting ended, Martinez approached Zethora. "We are going to get your people back," she said quietly. "All of them. I promise you that." "How can you promise such a thing?" Martinez smiled. It was not a warm smile, but it was honest. "Because failure is not an option. We do not know how to quit. We do not know how to give up. We will fight until we win, or until every single one of us is dead. There is no middle ground." She walked away, leaving Zethora alone with her thoughts. The human ship changed course, heading toward the Nerith cluster, toward the Harkin fortress, toward a battle that should have been impossible to win. And Zethora, for the first time since the attack, allowed herself to hope. The Harkin fortress station hung in the darkness of space like a massive spider, waiting for prey. It was ancient and ugly, built for function rather than beauty. Weapons platforms surrounded it in all directions. Patrol ships moved through the area constantly, watching for threats. For 3,000 years, no enemy had breached its defenses. Commander Vrektar stood in the central command chamber, surrounded by screens and soldiers. He was enormous, even by Harkin standards. His armored skin was scarred from countless battles. His small eyes glowed with cruelty and intelligence. "Another ship approaches," one of his officers reported. "Single vessel, unknown design." Vrektar turned to look at the display. The approaching ship was interesting. Large, angular, covered with weapons. It moved with confidence, heading directly toward the fortress without any attempt to hide. "Hail them," Vrektar ordered. "I want to see who is foolish enough to come here." The communication was established. On the screen appeared a creature that Vrektar had never seen before. Small, soft, no armor, no scales, no natural weapons, just pink skin and strange hair and two tiny arms. A female, apparently. She smiled at him. "This is Colonel Lisa Martinez of the Earth vessel Burning Resolve," she said. "You are holding prisoners taken from a Volani research ship. You will release them immediately, or we will take them by force." Vrektar stared at the screen. Then he laughed. It was a wet, ugly sound that echoed through the chamber. "One ship makes demands of the Harkin?" He leaned closer to the screen. "You are either very brave or very stupid, little creature." The human female nodded. "Probably both. But here is the thing. I have studied your people. You have never lost a battle, never faced a real challenge. You attack the weak, because you are too scared to fight the strong." She paused. "I am giving you one chance. Release the prisoners. Walk away, or find out what happens when you fight humanity." "Humanity?" Vrektar snorted. "I have never heard of your species." "You will." The communication ended. Vrektar turned to his officers. "Destroy them. Take the survivors as slaves. I want to learn more about these humans before I kill them all." 47 Harkin warships moved to intercept. They formed a classic attack formation, spreading out to surround the enemy vessel. The commanders were confident. One ship against 47, it would be over in minutes. The human ship did not slow down. It did not try to run. It accelerated directly toward the center of the Harkin formation, weapons charging. "They are insane," muttered one Harkin captain. "They are dead," said another. Then the Burning Resolve opened fire. The first kinetic impactor struck a Harkin warship at incredible speed. The projectile was simple, just a rod of solid tungsten, but it was moving at a fraction of light speed. The impact was devastating. The Harkin vessel did not explode, it simply ceased to exist, converted to vapor and debris in a fraction of a second. The second impactor hit a moment later. Then the third. Then the fourth. The Harken formation dissolved into chaos. Ships scattered in all directions, trying to avoid the invisible death that seemed to come from nowhere. Their shields were useless. Their armor was meaningless. The human weapons punched through everything, like it was made of paper. All ahead full, Commander Drake ordered from the bridge. Target their largest ships first. Make them afraid. Yes, sir, replied the weapons officer. Impactors away. The burning resolve charged into the heart of the enemy fleet. It took hits, plasma bolts splashing against its hull, burning holes in its armor. But the human ship kept coming. Its hull was thick, designed for exactly this kind of punishment. Damage control teams rushed to seal breaches. Engineers worked frantically to keep systems running. And the weapons never stopped firing. 23 Harken ships were destroyed in the first hour. The others began to fall back, confused and terrified. They had never fought an enemy like this. An enemy that did not care about odds. An enemy that seemed to enjoy the battle. Aboard the flagship, Rektar watched in disbelief as his fleet was torn apart. What are these creatures? He demanded. What are they? No one had an answer. Commander, Katie Moore called out from her station on the burning resolve. We have a clear path to the fortress. Enemy ships are pulling back to regroup. Now is our chance, Drake said. He touched the intercom. Martinez, you are cleared to launch. Get our people back. Understood, came the reply. Marines, on me. Time to go to work. The drop bay of the burning resolve opened, and 6 assault shuttles launched into space. They were small and fast, designed to get Marines onto enemy ships. Inside each one, human soldiers checked their weapons and armor. Danny Ortega sat near the front of his shuttle. His rifle was charged and ready. His heart was beating fast, but his hands were steady. Around him, his squad mates were silent, focused, ready. 2 minutes to contact, the pilot announced. Enemy fighters incoming. Hold on. The shuttle shook as weapons fire passed nearby. Danny heard explosions in the distance. He did not look out the window. He did not need to. He knew the plan. Get inside, find the prisoners, get out. Simple. The shuttle hit the fortress hull with a grinding crash. Cutting torches activated, burning through the metal. Then the doors opened, and the Marines poured out. The Harken were waiting. They were huge, twice the size of any human. Their weapons fired plasma bolts that could burn through armor. They roared battle cries that echoed through the corridors. The humans were faster. Danny moved without thinking, his training taking over. He fired 3 shots into the first Harken he saw, aiming for the joints in its armor. The creature stumbled, and he fired again. It fell. Around him, his squad mates were doing the same. They moved as a unit, covering each other, advancing through the corridor with deadly efficiency. The Harken were strong, but the humans were precise. Every movement had purpose. Contact left, someone shouted. Danny spun and fired. Another Harken went down. They pushed deeper into the fortress. The fighting was brutal and constant. The corridors were designed for creatures larger than humans, which made it hard to find cover. But it also made the Harken predictable. They could only come from certain directions. The Marines used that advantage. Colonel Martinez led from the front. She moved like a dancer, graceful and deadly. Her rifle never seemed to miss. When enemies got too close, she switched to her knife, a short blade that she wielded with terrifying skill. Prisoner holding area should be 2 levels down, she called out. Move it, people. We do not have all day. They found the stairs and descended. More Harken, more fighting. A Marine went down, hit by plasma fire. His squad mates dragged him to safety while the medic went to work. We are almost there. The door to the holding area was heavily reinforced. Martinez pulled out a breaching charge and attached it to the lock. Everyone took cover. Fire in the hole. The explosion was deafening. The door flew inward. Smoke filled the corridor. The Marines rushed through. Inside, they found cells, dozens of cells, filled with aliens of various species. Some were Villani, their scales dull with despair. Others were creatures Danny had never seen before. All of them looked up with shock and hope as the humans entered. "We are here to get you out," Danny said, his voice loud and clear. "Stay calm. Follow us. We will protect you." A young Villani female approached him. Her eyes were enormous. "Who are you?" she asked. Danny smiled. "We are humans, and nobody hurts innocent people while we are around." The evacuation began. Marines formed a protective corridor, guiding the freed prisoners toward the shuttles. More Harkin came, and more Harkin fell. The humans held the line. Outside, the burning Resolve continued its battle against the Harkin fleet. The ship was damaged now, smoke pouring from multiple breaches, but it kept fighting. It kept winning. And deep inside the fortress, Danny Ortega helped the last prisoner onto the shuttle and sealed the door behind them. The shuttles raced back to the burning Resolve, carrying freed prisoners from dozens of species. Behind them, the Harkin fortress burned. Explosions tore through its structure as the remaining defenders fought to survive. The great station that had stood for 3,000 years was dying. Danny Ortega sat in his shuttle, exhausted but triumphant. Around him, the rescued aliens huddled together, still in shock. A young Villani female sat beside him, her scales slowly shifting from gray to something warmer. She had not let go of his hand since they left the fortress. "Is it over?" she asked quietly. "Almost," Danny said. "Just need to get back to the ship. Then we are safe." The shuttle docked with the burning Resolve. Medical teams were waiting, ready to treat the wounded and care for the refugees. Marines helped the former prisoners disembark, guiding them to safety with gentle hands and reassuring words. On the bridge, Commander Drake watched the battle drawing to a close. 34 Harkin ships had been destroyed. The rest had fled into deep space, their commanders unwilling to die for a cause that was clearly lost. The fortress itself was breaking apart, fires spreading through its structure. "Enemy flagship is trying to escape," Katie Moore reported. Drake considered for a moment. Vrektar, the Harkin commander, the one responsible for thousands of years of slavery and suffering. "Stop him," Drake said. One final kinetic impactor launched from the burning Resolve. It crossed the distance in seconds and struck the enemy flagship directly in its engine section. The massive vessel shuddered, slowed, and began to drift, dead in space. "Target disabled," Katie said. "No escape." Drake nodded. "Prepare a boarding party. I want Vrektar alive." The capture of the Harkin commander was almost anticlimactic. His warriors had abandoned him. His ship was crippled. When the human Marines breached his command chamber, they found him alone, surrounded by the bodies of officers who had tried to flee. Vrektar looked at the small creatures who had destroyed everything he had built. He could not understand. They were weak. They were soft. They should have been easy prey. "What are you?" he demanded. Colonel Martinez stepped forward. Her armor was scorched and dented. Blood that was not hers stained her hands. She looked up at the massive Harkin with no fear at all. "We are humans," she said, "and you made a mistake. You attacked people we decided to protect. I did not know they were under your protection. Everyone is under our protection. Everyone who cannot protect themselves. That is what we do. That is who we are." Vrektar was silent. For the first time in his long life, he had no words. The aftermath of the battle took days to process. The burning Resolve was badly damaged, barely able to fly. 47 human Marines had died in the assault. 112 crew members had been killed during the ship-to-ship combat. It was a heavy price. But they had freed over 200 prisoners. They had destroyed the Harkin fortress. They had broken the back of a slaver empire that had terrorized the galaxy for 3,000 years. News of the battle spread quickly. Other species heard the story and could not believe it. One ship, one impossible battle, one complete victory. The humans had done what no one else had ever managed. Captain Zethora reunited with her lost crew members aboard the burning Resolve. They embraced with all four arms, scales shifting to bright colors of joy and relief. 17 had been taken. All 17 had been returned. "I do not know how to thank you," Zethora said to Commander Drake. "You saved my people. You risked everything for strangers." "That is what we do," Drake said simply. "It is what we will always do." "Why? I still do not understand. What drives you?" Drake thought about the question. He looked out the viewport at the stars, at the endless darkness that surrounded them. "On Earth, we have a long history of hurting each other," he said. "Wars, slavery, cruelty. We have done terrible things. But we have also learned from those mistakes. We know what it feels like to be powerless, to be treated as less than human. And we decided a long time ago that we would never let that happen to anyone if we could stop it. You cannot save everyone. No, but we can try. And when we find people like the Harkin, people who prey on the weak, we stop them. Because if we do not, who will?" The burning Resolve limped back toward human space, carrying its passengers and its wounded. Along the way, it received hundreds of messages from across the sector. Other species reaching out, asking questions, offering thanks. Some were desperate calls for help, people trapped by enemies they could not defeat. "What do we do with these?" Katie Moore asked. Drake read through some of the messages. A colony under attack by pirates. A space station held hostage by criminals. A species facing extinction at the hands of a stronger neighbor. So many problems, so much suffering. "Log them all," he said. "Forward them to command. Humanity has a lot of work to do." Years later, historians would look back on this moment as the beginning of a new era. The day humanity stepped onto the galactic stage and declared that things were going to change. Not everyone welcomed the humans. Some feared them. Some called them dangerous and uncontrollable. But in the camps where former slaves rebuilt their lives, in the colonies where refugees found safety, in the hearts of those who had been abandoned by the galaxy, the humans were something else entirely. They were hope. Danny Ortega stayed in the military for another 15 years. He participated in dozens of rescues, hundreds of battles. He saved more lives than he could count. Eventually, he retired to a quiet planet, surrounded by friends from a dozen different species. The young Vallani female from the fortress, the one who had held his hand on the shuttle, kept in contact. She became a scientist, studying the strange and wonderful humans who had changed the galaxy. She never forgot what Danny had told her. "And nobody hurts innocent people while we are around." Commander Drake was promoted to admiral, and spent the rest of his career building a coalition of species dedicated to protecting the weak. The burning Resolve was repaired and returned to service, becoming a legend among both humans and aliens. Colonel Martinez continued to lead from the front. She became the most decorated soldier in human history, feared by enemies and loved by those she protected. When asked about her motivation, she always gave the same answer. Someone has to stand up for the people who cannot stand up for themselves. I am just doing my part. And across the galaxy, whenever the darkness threatened, whenever the strong preyed upon the weak, whenever all hope seemed lost, a single message would go out into the void. Not a plea for mercy, not a prayer for salvation, a warning. The humans are coming, and the galaxy learned to believe it. The SOS had been meant for allies. It had called something far more powerful. It had called the Deathworlders. It had called humanity, and nothing would ever be the same again.